I don't know who this Uncle Bob is, Brian, but I am not a fan.
Uncle Bob has a red hat, and I want to punch him.
Oh, Uncle Bob.
Welcome to another episode of Out Loud and Laughing. Get ready. It's Bryan and Jon, two gay cousins having big talks and even bigger laughs. Join us. Let's see what they're up to. It's Out Loud and Laughing.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Out Loud and Laughing. I'm Bryan.
And I'm Jon.
Hi, Jon.
How are you doing?
That sounded like you're having a day.
Have you ever just been tired and you just don't know why you're tired? You're just tired.
I have been napping so much, and I don't know why. Yes, I think life is catching up with you and I.
Yeah, I don't have any real reasons to be exhausted or tired. I just feel like I haven't really been showing up enough for myself in terms of I've been saying yes to a lot, and so I just need to just take a break. I'm just so tired.
You need to focus on you. They always say put your mask on first on an airplane if it's going down before you put it on your kid. So take care of yourself, put that mask on.
Oh, thank God the plane's not going down today, though. How are you doing?
You're like, with that, I have to go.
And with that,
Great episode, guys. Toxic.
Short.
How am I doing? I'm good. I'm preparing for the week. Trying to get everything ready to go. Kids, snacks, school, all the things. We recently went to a little kid's birthday party. It was actually fun. We went to a kid's birthday party, and usually they've always been at play cafes or trampoline parks. This one I feel like you would love was at an art cafe. And all the kids made an art project.
Tell me more.
It was so cute. They all got a triangle cardboard cutout they were able to draw, and that was their ice cream cone. And then they also got 2 scoops of ice cream, which was a cutout piece of cardboard paper that they were able to paint and decorate with fake sprinkles and everything. And they made their own little ice cream cone projects. It was so cute.
Yeah.
It was
brilliant.
so brilliant. So Adam and I have had Kenzie in so many classes and Ollie on the weekends of gymnastics and soccer and all these sports things. So we're going to put Kenzie in dance, but on Saturday, she's going to do art class instead of another sport.
I really like that, diversifying our activities, something that's a little bit cognitive and not so physical.
That's what we were saying. We were like, Saturdays is for your mind and Sundays is for your body, right? We're trying to find that balance for her.
Now, this birthday party that you guys went to, is this a friend of hers from school?
Fun fact, it was actually it's someone from Ollie's class, but we're friends with this couple. They're a lesbian couple. They have 2 kids, beautiful kids. And so we've gotten close to them just because we have some shared experience. And Kenzie's always invited too, if Ollie gets to go. So yeah, it was nice. All 4 of us got to go, spend some time. The usual art project, circle time, feral children running around, a couple of tears, some from mine. It was fun. It was fine,
And I bet you it's really also helpful for all the parents, right? To be in a room with other parents so that it almost probably felt like a break because at some point you're just somebody else has to be watching my kids.
Well, yes. I mean, that is so true. And you also find comfort in talking to other parents about your children, because when another parent says, oh yeah, my child does that too, you realize that everyone's kind of going through the same stuff. And luckily in our area, I feel like people just let their guards down and have honest conversations. And so you kind of find these similarities with people and you realize, okay, my kid, while they might be feral, they might be an asshole, they all are at that age, right? And there's a certain level of comfort understanding that. There's a couple of conversations I had with a couple of parents around Ollie, and they were like, oh my God, my child does that too. And I was like, oh my God, thank God. You almost wonder if your child's just just needs a little extra help. But I think it's just an age thing, and it's another milestone. So I don't know. Parents, good for the kids. It's always a good experience.
Well, what I want to sort of double down on here, because I think this is a really great jumping off point for sort of what I wanted to bring up today, which was this idea of family, right? And, so far you've said a few things that have been indicative of what I consider family to be, which is a place where I can be vulnerable and share how I'm feeling, and a place where I don't feel lonely, right? Where I feel connected and I feel like I can share my woes and that they're heard and I'm validated. And it just makes me think about, while you're my family by blood, and I love that so much. You're probably you are my favorite family member. um, that, we also collect a lot of people in our lives that are not blood related and turn out to be chosen family. And I was just sort of like wondering if you wanted to go down this path with me today around defining family.
I love that because I think there's so many different ways to find family beyond the family tree. And I think especially being gay in this world, it's so important to, of course, we love our family. Well, we'll talk about that. We love people in our family, not every, I mean, I wouldn't say we love everyone in our family, because we have a very complicated family. But I do think the idea of chosen family is super important because it's all around not only finding safety for you and I with people and building that family, but I think now more than ever, I'm realizing this, and you've been around me and the kids enough, is also finding chosen family for them and making sure that they feel, part of something and don't feel isolated. And yeah. So let's talk about it. I love it.
Yeah, and I think what's really unique about your children's experience growing up and ours,
Mm.
which, looking back, I think it actually made you and I much closer. But this idea that my parents didn't allow us to have a lot of friends outside of our family unit. And so it made, for me personally, and still to this day, making connections outside of like, my family, like easier. Right. And so I'm like so happy that like you guys are like advocating and encouraging Kenzie and Ollie to make friends the way that they are, to go to birthday parties. I just remember growing up and like anytime I asked to go to a birthday party or anytime I asked to go do something, it was met with sort of like either a questionnaire or an inquisition or some sort of like, it just never was fun. Like it was like God almighty, And so um I'm really happy that you guys are allowing Kenzie and Ollie to have that experience a little
Yeah.
differently.
I also think, since I don't live, well, you don't either. We don't live close to like our family anymore. We definitely stay close to the family we want to stay close to. I think there's still this idea of you still need like some sort of bond or unit where you live. And that can be seen as a family, whether it's blood or not. And so, I think you and I both know that chosen bonds run way deeper than blood. And it's more than just being blood related. It's all about experience and who has been there for you, who has cried with you at night, who has been there for some of those interesting milestones. And when you and I think about some of those moments, not all of those moments were with family, but like blood family, but definitely still family in hearts, right? So I do think that blood is not always family.
Well, and I think I agree with you 100%. And I wanted to sort of extrapolate a piece, which is like, while, you know, the idea of family, like, is one side around like sharing experiences, and I know everything that's significant about that. I also think there's this role where, family
Hmm.
is responsible for providing support.
Yeah.
Family is uh, responsible for making you feel like you belong. And I think it's when those types of things start to um, I think it's when the person who's feeling a certain way about it doesn't feel that way and then isn't heard, then the wires start getting crossed. Then you're kind of like, well, then what the fuck is family? Like, and I can tell you from my experience, like some of the people that I've taken along with me on my journey, who are my chosen family, have been there for me through moments that I've still not shared with like people who you thought you would share everything with, i.e.
Mhm.
your parents or, and so this idea of just experiences, like I can say, well, yes, I've had so many experiences with my chosen family, but I've also had those with my parents. But then there's also been moments where I feel like my parents haven't really been there providing like the support and the belonging, and for lack of a better word, love. And I don't mean that in a way that they didn't show love. I think that there were just ways that they were living in such survival mode that it was hard for them to show the love that we needed. But, that importance of emotional connection in family relationships and to provide those things that we need to grow ourselves and to feel safe and to allow ourselves to be authentic and genuinely ourselves, especially when found in communities like us and marginalized groups. You're talking about like the LGBTQIA plus, anybody who's been estranged, whoever the geopolitical party wants to blame and put their thumb on top of, like those people are also going out finding family within their communities because they're either like estranged or so far away. It's really about that support. It's really about that love, and it's really about that belonging to me. And I will die on that hill.
I completely agree. I heard recently, and I thought this was actually such a powerful thing, that family is a verb, not a noun, which
Oh,
I take it as like it takes action and it takes showing up. And just because like your blood, that does not equal automatic love. Right.
yeah.
And just because someone is quote unquote your blood family doesn't mean they deserve to be your actual family. And I think you still need to show up and not take people for granted. And I think that's so powerful. So family is a verb, not a noun for anyone listening.
I think that is like discerning as fuck, right? Like to say that it's something you do, not something you say. A lot of us live by the uh prior generations are, if you were born into a family, then you have to like love, respect, show up, give all of yourself, sort of betray yourself to some degree. Like I feel like there are so many bad stories that have come out of family units because people feel like they can't betray their family members, be it financial, be it like financially, and talking about like land and other assets and things like that. Family gets all fucked up. Talking about like some God, the really, really shitty like stories that you hear about people who get molested by family members, and like the victim can't say anything because like they could literally like be responsible for destroying their family. So the point that I'm trying to make here is, just because you're born into something, your showing up to be a family member to somebody else is not a commodity.
Yeah. I think it's all the distinction of like be with the family you deserve, to your point, not the family you're born into. Right.
Yeah,
The family you're born into could be great. There's a lot of people listening that have a great family, and we have a great family too. But that doesn't mean that has to be your only family. And I think it's
right.
important to make that distinction of like, what do you deserve? And if your family isn't giving you that, or all parts of your family aren't giving you that, it's okay to let those parts go. Keep the family that you do enjoy and brings you joy to your life, and fill the gaps in with people who may not be blood related, but are equally as family. So I think it's important for people to constantly remind themselves, like, you're not alone in choosing your family. I think everyone's today, to your point, it's been more modernized. Like, just because you're born into this family, I think people recognize there's so many other ways to have that chosen family. And so choose your family, like build the unit that's going to help you, empower you to grow and be the best version of yourself. Don't feel like you have to be stuck with a certain group of people just because society has told you have to.
And what I really like about the modern family is that your biological family, if you're or the family that raised you. I don't want to say biological because that's not necessarily what I mean to say, but I mean to say whoever it is that you associate to be your guardians, your siblings, whatever that whoever you associated growing up with,
Yep.
doesn't automatically mean that they're like that it's been a bad experience. And like to Brian's point, like we can like, we love our family, for example, but it's not mutually exclusive to you going out and building other groups and other communities that, like, to what you said, Brian, filling in the gaps. I really like that, right? Like if there are parts of yourself that your family can't get behind or love completely, and I mean, it can go two ways, right? You can either like just say like, throw it to the wind and say, go fuck yourself, go screw yourself. Like, this is who I am. Which I know that we've felt that way a few times, especially after this last election, sort of like a lot of the strong feelings that
Totally.
came up around our family. But, that you can go out and create other sort of families. And that brings me to another question of like this, how exciting and how interesting it is to think about the future of family. And like, thinking about the role that technology is playing, in new family, found family. Like if you find people online, like friends, networks, communities. I'm thinking about gamers. I'm thinking about some of these people who are like misunderstood, but they still go out and they find the
Also,
group associated with.
OnlyFans.
Uh,
I hear you.
OnlyFans, my my favorite family. Oh my God.
The best family is the one you pay for monthly.
The best family is the one you subscribe to.
That is deep, actually.
Thank you. I just wrote it. But yeah, you know, this is like such an important topic to me because the sadder part of this story is without some of the chosen family, I don't know that I would have made it as far as I had because there were
Totally.
some really tough moments that I don't think my family was quite ready for as I was going through them in real time. I mean, I've thought of it. Living as a gay man, even to this day, is really difficult with my family. Not so much that they disown d- or sort of they say that they don't care, but it's not so much that I wish they actually did care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
don't care that you're gay. Like I actually wish you did care I was gay.
Right. And actually understood what we took the time to understand what we
Yeah.
go through because our family loves us. We both know that, but our family's pretty big.
Mm.
So I think it's okay to be honest that we actually don't talk to some people in our family, and that's okay, right? Like we've built our unit. Um, our family's not perfect, but we stuck with them because we do see the love in certain people. But yeah, I mean, we have definitely casted a wider net outside of the Ruiz family to find other people. And I think it started even as early as like high school, where we started to build some friendships with some people who we still talk to today, and they are still very much close to us and have seen us on our journeys and we've seen them on their journeys. And how is that any different, if not stronger, than actual family who we only saw once a year at a holiday? Right?
Yeah.
So there's that certain level of like emotional connection, shared experience that just runs so much deeper than having the same DNA. Because I also believe, again, being a gay man with being a parent as well is like, you know, nurture versus nature. And sure, nature can bind you together because you're the same DNA blood type, but you could be born into this world. There's so many studies of like, I think there was a study of two twins that were raised separately and how they were just completely different people at the end of it. Because nurture is so much more powerful. Who are you surrounded with? What are your shared experiences? What values were you raised with? All of those things are not necessarily tied to blood, right? And so I think that's the notion of, for me, chosen family is who do I want to hang out with and who do I want to share my life with? That's my family.
Yeah. And you know, who do you want to see you evolve? Who do you want to be there to like celebrate your milestones and to evolve with? Really, it's all about evolving. But we recently had my best friend Stacy on one of our podcasts, or actually our first guest on our
Yeah.
Out Loud Laughing podcast. And, you know, you want to talk about chosen family, like her and I have literally run the gamut from childbirth 3 times to divorce to, I mean, marriage first, obviously, to divorce, to long distances, birthdays, lots of milestones. I mean, talk about a chosen family. I have flown distances for friends that I am, it's hard pressed to say that I wouldn't fly for many people in my family. And I've done things for people in my life that I can say that some family members have not done for me.
Yeah.
And so I think like the impact, that bestows upon me, and how it emphasizes again this power of love and acceptance and like knowing that that's where like the strong family bond is made, and it's not necessarily so much on like the traditional family or the family that we speak of, which is like the one that we're weird with.
Mhm.
You know, that's not always promised. That's not always, you know, you almost grow into you just grow into sort of a person that starts to realize what it is they need. And I think that that's the beautiful part as well. And all of these people that we've like, pulled into our world, our friends, our family members, is, important in terms of like defining sort of what future families could look like with friends and non-blood related relatives.
Yeah, I think it comes down to we've evolved with the term of family, and now it's all around like, am I comfortable? Right? Why would I continue to put myself in an uncomfortable situation with people just because we share something that is so imaginative? And so I want me and my family, you, to be putting ourselves in situations where we're comfortable. And honestly, a lot of the times, the most uncomfortable times are probably with family, right? Not immediate, at least for in your and my, experience, but I want my kids to be comfortable. I want to be comfortable. Why am I forcing myself to do something just because it's quote unquote my family? Right. And I think that's important for people to get that strength to say, this is not okay. I don't like being here. I don't want to be here with these people. not and just because I have to, you know? And I don't know. I feel like so many people just kind of like accept it. Oh, that's just Uncle Bob. He's just a racist. But is that okay? Do you want to be around Uncle Bob? Does Uncle Bob need to be in your life? Will Uncle Bob even miss you if you weren't around? You know? And I think you need to have those conversations with yourself because you only have one life to live. So there's no reason not to surround yourself with a chosen family that's going to help make your life that much better.
Although I don't know who this Uncle Bob is, Brian, but I am not a fan.
Uncle Bob has a red hat and I want to punch him.
Oh, Uncle Bob.
Uncle Bob.
Ugh. Yo, I hear what you're saying, and it's so true, and it's unfortunate that we weren't taught to have that voice. As a matter of fact, it's quite the opposite.
Yep.
That have like taught to hug people that you don't want to hug, and this, that, and the other, and sort of that sense of autonomy is taken away, and you're raised with a sense of you're stuck with these people. When the reality of the fact is that you're not. The world is full of like wonderful humans who are also pining for belonging and security and comfort as well. And once you sort of find those people, aka your tribe,
Yeah.
right? That you can really, I think, and if there's a big why behind this, right? Like if there's a big like, okay, well, why? To me, the big why is because without getting to that sense of peace and comfortability, without getting to that place of like feeling that the world that you created around yourself as it pertains to the people you've accumulated, if they don't make you feel safe, secure, you can't be authentic. You're still masking.
Yeah.
You're still pretending to be something you're not. And so basically what it comes down to is a waste of fucking time. Like, why do you want to show up at Uncle Bob's house if you have to like be somebody else that you're not? Listen, we're not promised a million years on this earth. We have max right now 100, although I did just watch a TikTok where they were talking about in 8 years they're going to do like head transplants on healthy bodies, but that's another podcast. But we're only given so much amount of time. Why are you going to be inauthentic? Why are you going to waste it with people you don't want to be around? Why are you going to waste it on people who think less of you or think something of you that makes you feel less?
And don't get it, but also like I don't want people to get confused. Just because you don't want to be with that family doesn't necessarily mean that you don't love them, because you can still love someone from afar. And also doesn't mean that you don't respect them. And I think that's how you and I were raised. You have to hug that person. You have to kiss them. That's a sign of respect. No, I don't. I can still respect that person from afar. I respect that our grandparents migrated here and built a family for our lives. That's fine. I don't have to like have grandparents, which again, it's a whole other pod, but in our lives as family, I can still respect them. You know what I'm saying? I think there's a distinction there around, to your point, because you want to still be your authentic self. So I still respect these people. I don't have to know. Just because I don't talk to them doesn't mean I don't respect. And I think there's a really interesting distinction there.
To me, the way that looks is I respect everybody.
Yeah.
Because I respect everybody's journey and I trust that everybody is on one. Now I can make a choice to not be part, or I can choose at which proximity I want to be present, right?
Right.
Distance, like you said, or like for you, and you being so close to me and have been able to help me, like I can lean on you for a lot of things. I can call you and say, I'm having a bad day. Excuse me. And you can come forward and say, hey, do you need a minute? I'm here for you. I wouldn't do that with like my grandmother on my dad's side, right? Who I have spoken to 30 years and drama and like, but I still respect her because she's my grandmother and she's on her own journey and she doesn't know what she doesn't know, right? Like it is what it is.
I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think this was an interesting topic because, chosen family is so powerful. And honestly, you and I will probably continue to talk about this on the pod because it is so important to us. Like you and I have made a conscientious choice to consistently surround ourselves around people that just make us feel good. Right.
And conscientiously, we are doing this essentially to strengthen our bond and also to use our bond to build another family, which is our listeners and those who we want conversations with here. So welcome to our family, everybody. If you're listening, you're automatically part of ours.
I agree.
Sorry about it.
We thank you guys for listening to this. Thank you for listening to another episode of Laughing. Please subscribe, comment, do all the things. We are loving this, so we want to make sure that you guys are too. But if you're not, tell us. We're okay with the feedback. But thank you everyone for listening.
We love you, and I love you for my family, Brian.
Love you too, my chosen family.
Well, bye.